every year on Remembrance Day that today's youth has a hard time connecting with the stories of World War I and World War II because there are fewer veterans to share those stories. And that's why I wanted to spend some time today talking about a program that is working to tell the stories of those vets through film. And the filmmakers weaving together those stories are young people. It's the Rivera and Real Youth Age is More film project, Veteran Spotlight. Now, before I meet one of the stars of these films, how about I play a little bit from the film featuring Bob Peterson, and later on this half hour, we're going to meet the 15-year-old filmmaker, Imogen Cardinal.
My name is Robert Peterson. Many have called me Bob, so it's become Bob Peterson. I was born on August the 22nd, 1925. I'm now 89. I met my first love when I was in England. One particular gal that I wanted to go for a walk with, asked her if she would go for a walk with me, and she said no. I said, why? She said, well, I'm going to just stay here and read. Well, I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll toss a coin. Heads you come, tails you don't. And I had a penny, took a penny out, English penny out of my pocket and tossed it, and I won the bet. So I said, okay, we're going. Penny and I were married for 63 years.
Joining me this afternoon is Bob Peterson. Hello, Bob.
Hello.
Have you had a chance to see the film yet?
I have.
And what's your review?
I think it was fantastic for youth to get involved and prepare and be able to present something so professional. It was amazing, marvelous job.
Bob, I don't want to give away too much of it, but as we heard in that clip, it was a great little story of how you met your wife. But I want to find out more, first of all, because, of course, this is Remembrance Day, and I want to find out your story of joining the war. How old were you when you signed up?
I was 17.
17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me why you wanted to do this and the position that you took on.
I wanted to become a pilot because I had been in Air Cadet for 2 years during my high school. And on the second year during the summer camp at Norman Rogers Airfield in Kingston, I was able to get a flight in the back of a Harvard single-engine aircraft that they were using for training pilots. And from that time on, I wanted to become a pilot. It just gave me that desire.
You served as a rear gunner in a Lancaster bomber. Tell me about the night you learned that your crew may not have survived.
Well, to basically set the scene, it was a cold, dark night, and I had gone to the control tower to see if the crew had come back. And they had gone with a spare gunner on the trip because I had been grounded for a couple of weeks following a mission where we were coned in the searchlights, and they thought I was going deaf because of my severe ear pain. At any rate, I had to go back to a Nissen hut that normally held two 7-man crew. And so I was all alone. It was cold. I was lonely just as a 19-year-old. And it's as if you had lost your family. We had become bonded in such a way that we were like brothers. And I experienced almost some guilt that I couldn't have been with them.
What happened to them? Did the tower know?
They were actually fogged in. and had to go to another airfield, so they were okay. They came back the next day.
But there was that time where you thought you may have lost 7 of your closest friends.
That's correct. Yes. So I went back to the little Nissen hut, and I just felt so alone. So it's like losing your family.
So you could understand then the stories of the veterans who did lose fellow crew members and soldiers who died and they survived, the guilt that they probably went through as well.
Oh, I certainly do. And there were, about 15 or 20 years ago, there were a couple of years where when it was Remembrance Day and I'd be watching or try to watch programs from Ottawa, the Remembrance Day service, that I'd get choked up and have to go in my workshop and cry.
Bob, you're 89 now?
Yes, I am.
I want to go back, though, to the fact that you were 17 when you enlisted. Mm-hmm. And here you are working with these young filmmakers. Imogen is 15. Is it hard to believe that you were so young when you took on such a huge role and responsibility?
It is, but it was a different century. It was a time where at that age you wanted the excitement of travel. You wanted to get into the excitement. You didn't think of war as killing people, and that wasn't my thought. It was I would finally be able to become a pilot and participate to do something for the country. I wasn't looking at the sad effects of war itself. I can recall maybe about the third trip when we went to Cologne. It was at Christmas Eve. After bombing Cologne, we got back in time. Actually, we had to be diverted to an American station at that time. And I would have been just in time to go to midnight mass. So I had to go in my flying suit. But the irony of being on a bombing mission and then going to mass seemed to be so contradictory.
Have we learned anything? We still have conflict. I mean, we now have some involvement in the fight against ISIS. Our soldiers have only in the last couple of years returned from Afghanistan. Do you feel, Bob, we've learned anything from the conflicts that you were involved in?
We might have learned it, but we're not passing it down to the children, I'm afraid. And the educators are not giving sufficient information about the fact that they have a responsibility in some way to let them know rights are being violated in any way. That they need to tell their educators to get in touch with their government leaders and try to do something about it. The youth of today really need to stay involved to know about current world events as well as what's happening locally in our provinces and country.
And Bob, that's why this program, the Rivera and Real Youth Ages More Film Project, is probably so important.
Oh, for sure.
Bob, thank you so much for your time, and I'm glad you were able to share some of your memories on Remembrance Day.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break, we're going to meet the filmmaker that put together Bob Peterson's little story. Really enjoyed my conversation with Bob Peterson, of course, part of the Rivera and Real Youth Age is More film project, Veteran Spotlight. And, of course, I set up that whole interview with just a quick clip from the film that came out of this project. Now I want to talk to the young filmmaker who was behind Bob's story. Imagine Cardinal joining me today. She's 15 years old, attends Central Memorial High here in Calgary. Hello, Imagine.
Hello.
Why did you want to be part of this film project?
Well, I grew up around filming and television because my mother's an actor, so I don't really know much about filmmaking, so I decided to join it so I could learn a lot more and talk to some people who seem to know a lot about filming, but also when I made the film, I had to interview someone, and I don't know, it was just like a big learning thing that I love to do because I love to learn, so yeah. So
obviously the idea of making your own film drew you to the project. What did you think, though, when you found out that you were going to be talking to a war veteran?
I was really excited and I was really nervous because I don't know anything about the war, and I was afraid that maybe he wouldn't like me or something, or he'd think, like teenagers, I hate teenagers or something, like teenagers are rude and stuff, like stereotypes and stuff.
Do you think, Imagine, that maybe some teens have stereotypes of elderly people?
Yeah, I think they do. I think lots of teenagers think they're boring or they're not like us when they really are like us, basically. Like, we're all people, right? And they have some of the same problems they've been through more than we have, probably some of the same things that we've been through, and we're really just all people, and age is just a number.
And that's so true, because I think that was the whole idea behind the Rivera and Real Youth Age is More film project, wanting to bring together young people and elderly people so that you can look at each other differently. First of all, because you were attracted to the idea of making your own film, tell me how great that experience was and what you learned from it.
I learned a lot. I learned, well, it was really fast, too, because I had to film in one day and I had to edit the next weekend. So one weekend I edited it. One weekend I filmed it. The next weekend I edited it. So it was all in a big rush, but I spent a lot of time talking to him because I couldn't just start talking to him about the war and put a camera in his face. So I had to get to know him first, right? Of course. So just the whole process of making a film takes a long time, and then the editing and just having people skills too, right? To talk to people about their lives and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I don't think I could never picture myself being in the war, and I would never want to be in the war. It sounds like an intense experience.
Well, obviously the war is an intense experience, and you had an intense experience having to learn how to film, talk to Bob, and then edit it the next weekend. Do you see yourself following, well, I know your mom being an actress, but getting into filming even more? Would you like to be a filmmaker down the road?
Yes, I would love to be a filmmaker. I love making films. I love setting up scenes, telling stories, hearing other people's stories.
So you heard Bob's story. What did you take away from that? Was there one story in particular that really grabbed you?
Yes, there was. It was about his wife. He met his wife in London when he was over there, and he was with her for, I'm pretty sure it was 61 years, but she passed away in 2012. But just how long they were together and how they never left each other, and the loyalty, and they used to send each other letters and stuff, and she knew he was in the war, and she didn't know sometimes if he would come back, but she was still with him, and it was just a different time back then, and I'm trying to understand it.
I know you're going to take away, obviously, the experience of making your own film, but what will you take away in your future dealings with older people?
Well, I'm really close to both of my grandmothers, so I think I don't know, I think I already know kind of too that I respect elders a lot, and I already know that, like, they're just like us. And it's a part of my culture too to just, like, talk to elders, learn from them.
Well, obviously, it's not hard for you to have that respect because, as you say, it's part of your culture. But hopefully, through this whole project and other young people seeing this connection you had with Bob, that they'll look at elderly people differently as well. Imagine, thanks so much for sharing some of your time with us.